I want you to stop comparing yourself, because there is no one on the planet who's like you. Your job on this earth is to be you. That is your only job. It's not your job to be beautiful or successful or rich or famous. It's your job to be you. Hello my beautiful YouTube community, welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about self-love, a topic that I feel like is covered a lot and is simplified a lot on social media, so I'm going to try my hardest not to do that. I feel like I constantly come back to this on a almost daily basis now. How can I love myself better? How can I be more gentle with myself in this time of struggle? I definitely have to remind myself to love myself every day, because my inner critic can get quite loud, and I think there are external forces that encourage me to be critical of myself as well. So constantly reminding myself to love myself is something I just have to do. And I feel like it's something that the majority of us have to do because, you know, we don't grow up in the most loving environment. This world can be quite a negative place, quite a critical, judgmental place. So yeah, I'm just going to give you some steps to help you achieve self-love. Obviously that's quite a big thing to claim that this video is going to be able to do for you. I don't think I'm like a magician. Yeah, just take the titles of these videos with a pinch of salt. It's YouTube, I have to kind of make them quite statement, but I might not be able to make you love yourself if you're in a really dark place, but hopefully I'll lift you up and make you feel positive and less alone. And yeah, hey, love you. I'm here for you. Please comment if you want a conversation, want a bit of human connection. But yeah, let's get on with the video. Please subscribe if you haven't, by the way. Okay, my number one tip for achieving self-love is you've got to give love to feel love. You've got to give it to get it. I do believe in the power of kindness. I think a kind gesture finds its way back to you. Every day I try to do something for someone else. That makes me sound like some kind of hero. I often just kind of like smile at someone when I'm walking past them on the street. But I do think that really makes other people feel good. And I feel that from them because I'm a bit of an empath, and I'm like, oh, I've just made your day. And that makes me feel good, and it makes me feel safer on this planet knowing that I've kind of connected with another human just by smiling at them. Just know that good karma's a thing. It will come back to you. Sometimes not straight away, and it won't be that obvious that it was because of this act that you're now feeling like this, but it will come back to you. I really believe that. I think if you want to have a positive mindset and be hopeful in this world, you do need to believe that, you know, there are higher powers at play that do bring these good things back to you. So if you're a good person, you get good things. I think it's important to believe in that. Otherwise, you're going to have a very doom and gloom view of the world, and that's just not nice. It's nice to create a kinder world for ourselves to exist in. Being kind to other people genuinely is the gift that keeps on giving for me. I just feel like the kinder I am to others, the kinder I then can be to myself. I do really believe that you get what you give. So yeah, that's my first little thing. My next thing is something that I've been thinking about a lot. Another step to achieving self-love is to look at the people around you and don't be afraid to let go of them if they are kind of toxic. Obviously it's harder if it's kind of a family member, but when you can, be very selective with who you put your time into. A lot of us, maybe because we're kind of brought up in toxic relationships, family-wise, we don't really recognise when friendships become toxic or are toxic. I do think a great way to look after yourself is to make sure the people around you are looking after you. I don't want to say you are the people you surround yourself with, because I don't think that's the case. A lot of us can be very different to our families, so I don't think you are the people you surround yourself with, but I do think the people you surround yourself with are very influential on how you perceive yourself and how you love yourself. So when you can, be picky. I know that ending friendships can feel very scary and isolating, but I was saying this to one of my friends today, there's nothing more lonely than feeling lonely with other people. My next self-love tip, I want you to be able to process your kind of fears and everything that you're just struggling with and have struggled with in the last year or two. And I do think that requires you to have time to reflect and time to sit in silence. And I do think a lot of us, or majority of us, don't really have a boring or silent moment on a day-to-day basis. I think we are listening to music, watching TV, working, listening to podcasts, going to the gym. We never really just have like a moment where we're just on a walk and there's just the sounds of the birds. Yes, it can be boring, but I do think that's the time when you get to process, when there's no voices going on and things distracting your mind. It's just the time when everything kind of comes up. And yes, it can be scary and a bit much, but when you have all those fears come to the surface, you're able to kind of process them. I've processed things mainly through journaling and speaking to my friends and like a therapist. Sometimes you need those silent moments to realise that you actually are going through a lot and that you need to reach out to a friend or get a therapist. Embrace the silence when you can. Embrace being bored. When you're bored, you get to those thoughts that are at the back of your head. And I do tend to think the thoughts that are back there are the most deep-rooted and most influential thoughts that we have related to kind of our self-image and our self-esteem. So go for a walk and don't take your headphones. Next self-love kind of step that I want you to take is stop listening to like a gazillion podcasts about learning to love yourself and learning to be a really strong woman. And I do think those things are amazing, and you're literally watching this video now, but it's very easy to kind of overload yourself with ways to heal and to avoid doing by doing that. So I really have gone through a process of not really listening to many other people's opinions now and advice on how to love myself and how to heal and how to grow. I've had these last few months of not really listening to many podcasts, but actually just listening to myself and my thoughts. I've got the tools, I've got the know-how on how to love myself, but I actually need to act on it now. So I need to reflect and meditate. And I've been a bit bored from time to time and maybe a bit lonely too. Because of that, it feels lonely being with your thoughts, but I do feel like I'm learning a lot about myself off the back of it, which brings me to a stronger place and a more loving, self-loving place, because I'm really starting to draw the dots between, you know, why I have these beliefs about myself, and I have a lot more self-respect, and I feel like I can be a lot more gentle on myself off the back of realising that, you know, oh, I think like this because of this, and this wasn't my fault. So, okay, if you're someone who overdoes it with the self-love podcasts and books, but actually fails to do any of the advice that is given and stick to it consistently, then maybe it's time that you stop distracting yourself with all the knowledge and actually, you know, be proactive. I know it's so much easier to read about doing it and hear other people talk about doing it than actually doing it. It's the most painful part of healing and learning to love yourself, but it's so worth it. I say that, I'm literally in the midst of it now. I literally went through like an addiction of listening to self-help podcasts a year ago, and I think I was just unable to actually do the things that they were suggesting because I just didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. But now that doesn't scare me as much because I've been doing it for a bit, and I'm kind of just tired of hearing all the try out this morning routine and do this night routine, and you just end up getting contradictory advice, and different things work for different people, but the best thing you can do is be consistent. So if you're listening to self-help podcasts all the time, you'll start to get too many ideas and overload yourself, and then you won't be sticking to one routine that just works for you. Wake up, exercise, meditate and journal, and then that's my morning routine and it's great. And then when I go to bed I read. Anyway, let's move on. Another obvious but important reminder is that you do not need to be like your friends. You don't need to compare yourself to other people because you've got a different journey, and what works for someone else isn't necessarily going to work for you. So comparing yourself to other people is just something you shouldn't do, obviously you're going to do it because you're human, and I actually just think that's human nature. I get that we kind of want to come across as successful to other humans. We compare ourselves and we get into this whole mess of trying to be like someone else. But there's nothing more painful than trying to be someone you're not. Authenticity feels freeing and self-loving in itself. Just being like, you're enough and you're worthy of being shown to the world, so just be you. Even if it feels uncomfortable at times, I think that's really self-loving. It's a really self-loving act. You might be in a place right now where you're feeling not as successful as your friends, or not as successful as your parents would like you to be, or you might just be judging yourself a lot, and you might be on TikTok and seeing all these people, traveling and doing all these amazing things and starting up these amazing businesses, and you might think, why am I just here doing this thing? You just need to realize you're not here to be this big successful business person. You're here to exist with nature. You are nature. You're kind of made from the same energy source as nature. How cool is that? Look, I want you to stop comparing yourself, because there is no one on the planet who's like you. Your job on this earth is to be you. That is your only job. It's not your job to be beautiful or successful or rich or famous. It's your job to be you. You be yourself and you honour your truth. I do think it's very easy to kind of compare yourself to others and to think that, because this person is successful, I'm not. Because I haven't got anywhere near as much money as them, or I don't look anywhere near as good as them. But that's just not what we're here for on planet Earth. I know capitalist messaging is in our head and we think that we need to be really rich and beautiful and famous, but you know that that is not the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to love others and yourself, and to live in harmony with nature, and to do good and be kind. So just remind yourself of that when you're comparing yourself to others. Just remind yourself, why am I judging myself based upon these standards that I don't care about? I don't care about being really rich and famous and beautiful, because it's an empty promise. It never really feels good when you gain all of that. Listen to any of the celebrities that kind of talk about this, any of the people that do have fame and beauty. They all talk about how they still are striving for more, and they go through depression and anxiety. Another thing I want to mention is, when you look at someone who you're jealous of, who you think has got it all together, you are seeing them through your eyes and you are thinking about them in your head. You are not seeing them through their eyes or thinking about them through their head. So you could be thinking they're looking great right now, and they could be thinking they're looking great right now. They've got amazing friends. They've got beliefs that I really aspire to have. I don't like where I am at. So what I'm trying to say is, what looks good to you might not feel good to others. You only know what you see, and we all know that seeing things doesn't mean knowing things. The truth is so much more hidden, and it takes time to get to know and living through things. So just stop looking at other people and thinking they've got it all together and I want to be like them, because everyone's fighting a battle that you don't know. The best thing you can do is just talk to people and get to know people and their situations, and don't put people on a pedestal, and don't say, they're successful, I'm just gonna be jealous of them from a distance. Make friends with them and talk to them, and then you'll realise that they're human too, and they're struggling too, and that they're scared of this thing. So just know that the person you're comparing yourself to has probably compared themselves to others, or maybe even you. Let's have a moment to just kind of sit with ourselves and sit together and be really grateful for this existence, and these arms and these legs and each other and our phones that connect us, and the beautiful sky. And just take a moment now, look around you and express gratitude for everything and anything. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, share, post it on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Alessia Sotheberry. I want you to now text someone and tell them why they're special to you. Just say, hey, I just wanted you to know that you're so special to me because blah, 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 blah. I think you should do that right now. Let's just spread positivity and kindness and make other people feel loved, because when we don't feel loved, at least we can make other people feel loved. And I think off the back of that, that can make us feel that warmth and joy and love. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Have a nice day, morning, evening, sleep.